Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial of how to create a dual track project in Jira Cloud. So I'm logged into Jira Cloud. I'm on the system dashboard, and first things first. So before we create a new project, we want to do a couple of housekeeping things. So to set up a dual track project, you want to create a new Jira issue type. That issue type is called an idea. We call it an idea. You can also call it an opportunity. Either one will work. We use idea because it's nice and short. So let's create this new Jira issue type. So I'm in administration that I accessed from this upper right menu right here. I'm going to create this new issue type by clicking here. Let's call it an idea. Alright, standard issue type is good. So it's created it right here. And I'm going to click edit again because I want to change the issue type avatar, and I'm going to make it a question mark, orange icon if you will. It's easily identifiable in the backlog in the future. That's why we select that. So let's update that icon there. Okay, so now that we've made some changes in Jira administration, let's go ahead and add a new workflow. And let's add the Dual-Track Scrum workflow from the Atlassian Marketplace. So I'm also in Jira administration. I'm in the workflows. I'm going to import the workflow from the Marketplace. I'm going to type in Dual-Track Scrum, and we've created one that anyone can access. And it's a free workflow you can download to your instance of Jira. Again, this is for Jira Cloud. I think you can download it and use it for Jira Server as well, but we use the cloud version, so that's what this demo is for. So I'm going to go ahead and add this workflow. It's going to map some statuses to new statuses. That works. Okay. So we've loaded this new workflow to Jira administration. It's here, as you can see. We're not using it, that's why it's inactive right now. But we're going to create a new project and use this workflow and that Jira issue type idea that we just created. So let's go ahead and create a new project. So I'm going to create a new project. It's going to be a Scrum software development project. Let's click next. It gives us some default workflow. It doesn't let us adjust it just yet, so let's go with that. Let's hit next. Let's give a name to this project. Let's call it Dual-Track Scrum Project. Okay, it gives us this this key to use for this name. So let's go with that. Hit submit. DTSP. That's our prefix for our project. So we've created a new project. We have the new issue type, we have the workflow. Now let's apply that workflow to this project. So I'm going to go into project settings. I'm going to go into issue types, and let's go ahead and add that issue type. So I'm going to edit issue type and add the idea issue type into my project, and click save. And let's add that workflow to my project as well. So workflows. Right now this is the default workflow that it gave me, but I'm going to switch it. I'm going to add that workflow here. So this is the one that I pulled from Atlassian Marketplace. So I'm going to go ahead and select that and click next. I'm going to select all of the issue types to apply that to this workflow. And now I have to publish my changes. I'm still in edit mode, but it won't be applied until I publish. So I'm going to go ahead and publish. There are no issue types to migrate. So if you had an existing project and you apply this workflow, you might have some cleanup to do to migrate the existing issues into the new statuses. But because this is a new project, we don't have any. So it's nice and easy for us. So we're just going to go ahead and click associate. Your workflows have been published. Okay, that's great. Alright, so let's go look at what we have here. So This is the active sprints board. We have to do, in progress, done. We are on the DTSP board. Okay, we're not done with setup yet. We want to set up 2 boards. We're going to set up a dual track. In dual track, there's 2 boards. There's the Kanban board and the Scrum board. Kanban being for discovery and Scrum board being for delivery. So let's go ahead and set that up. So here I can access the boards quickly. I'm on the DTSP board. That's fine. That's the default board. We get 1 board as a default. So let's go ahead and configure this. And let's change this to a delivery board. So I like putting the prefix of the project in a lot of the names. When you have a lot of projects in a Jira instance, it's really easy to get confused with different names. So having the prefix in there is really convenient. So DTSP, and let's call this delivery. So that's the delivery board. And there's this filter for the DTSP board. We'll keep that as a default, and then it's shared with everybody that has access to Dual-Track Scrum project, which is our project. So that looks good. Let's go back. Okay, so that's the delivery board. We're gonna come back to this and update the columns, but in a little bit. But let's create the other board as well. Let's create our discovery board. So our discovery board will be a Kanban board. And create the board from existing project, sure. And let's call that the DTSP discovery. That'll be our second board. And it's a Kanban board. You'll see there's 3 columns here. There's no issues created just yet. So now we have the discovery and the delivery boards. And now we'll want to customize the boards to fit our new workflow and idea types. So let's set up our discovery board first. So we'll go into board and configure. And one thing that we want to do is adjust the filter that we're using. So let's edit the filter query. So on the discovery board, the only Jira issue types that we want to display is the idea type. So we're going to go ahead and save this filter. And that's saved. And if we go back to our project, we should see that that's exactly what we've done. There's really no easy way to toggle between the filter management and the project. So yeah, so we have the filter for DTSP discovery. If we go back there, we'll actually see that it's pulling just the idea type. Okay, so the filter piece was super important. So definitely have the idea be the only thing that you see on the discovery board. Okay, let's set up our columns real quick. So there's this Kanban backlog that you can use, but we don't. It's part of the Jira Labs at the moment. Cool feature, but not needed right now. So for discovery, we use Kanban. So we'll create 1 column for the backlog items. We'll create 1 column for things that are ready to be worked on. This is, some people will call this ready for development, but because discovery is in development, it is a discovery process, usually called the Google Design Sprint or similar. We are going to just use ready. We're going to move some of these statuses into this ready column. So we have backlog as everything that's open. Everything that's in ready, it's either ready or reopened. And then we have the in progress column, and then we'll have a review column. And we put the resolved in there. We keep the issue count here because we don't set a min and max, but we see the count of the amount of items that are in each column. It's helpful to know. You definitely want to reduce work in process in each column. Anyway, we've set up the boards. That's great. Let's look at the swim lanes. There's some queries here. That's fine. Quick filters, no adjustments. Card colors, no adjustments. No adjustments here. Yeah, I think we're done. All right, so let's go back and look at our discovery Kanban board. Backlog ready, in progress, review done. Okay, that looks good. Let's go to our delivery board and set that up. Let's configure this. Okay, we're in the delivery board setup. We want to adjust the columns. All right, here is some leftover statuses that we're going to get rid of. We have the to-do column, in progress, done. One thing that we're missing is review, so let's go ahead and add that. Let's migrate our unmapped statuses and map them. So to-do is open, to-do is reopened, to-do is also ready, and review is resolved. So that looks good. Column constraints, none. Swim lanes, we always turn this off. Unless we have something unique, we use queries, but besides that, no, we almost always turn off the swim lanes. And that keeps the Scrum board nice and clean. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the setup. So let's go ahead and create some Jira items, and let's flow them through the flow. Alright, so let's populate our project with a few ideas. And anyone can submit an idea, and you can add it in almost any location. So let's go through the create button in the header. Sample item, just call it that. Let's make it an idea type, and that's fine. So we created an idea. I've created it, but it's not visible. That makes sense because we're in delivery in the active sprint. Or in the active board. There's no active sprints just yet. Let's create one more idea. Just using basic Ipsum here. Sample idea. Let's go check the backlog. Those are the two items I just created. They're in the product backlog in the delivery board. They'll also be in discovery. Two items right there. That's great. You can even create items in the backlog of the delivery board. So, add something there. So that's a story. We want stories above and sample and ideas lower in the backlog. Okay, so ideas get worked on by the discovery team. The PM typically prioritizes them, but usually they're in the discovery backlog, which is in this column right here. So we have two items right here, and the PM and the dev lead, the design lead, basically the discovery team will groom the items together, and at some point they'll determine that this idea is ready to be worked on, meaning the discovery team can pull this into a design sprint. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. So when we're grooming, we're basically populating a Jira item with different things that we're going to define as how can we validate this idea. So what's kind of our process of validating it? How do we know what success looks like? So we have a template of that we recommend to our teams, and it looks something like this. So there's definitely a research goal, a methodology we follow. There's some kind of test structure that we follow, and really it's we're doing some basic things around how do you validate your understanding of user needs, and how are you going to test that, who are you going to test that with. Anyway, so this is just a guideline of what we use here, but we tend to deviate pretty often, and it's important to be flexible because not every idea requires a full-on sprint, but for the most part, this is a good structure to start with. Anyway, so we've populated the description with how we're going to test this idea. How do we know what success looks like? And this is ready to get worked on, so we're going to mark it as ready. And if I go back to the Kanban board, you'll notice that that idea right here is in the ready column. And the design team will pull this item in, and it will be in progress, and they'll be working on it, and eventually they will be done. All right, at the end of a week or 2 weeks. You definitely want to time box some of your discovery work. At some point, it's ready to be reviewed by the team collectively, or a broader team, and you're going to disposition it if ideas are validated or not validated. Anyway, so it's in this review column, and the team will decide, hey, like, yes, we're going to develop certain things, or no, we're not going to develop certain things. So eventually, after a review process, that idea will have had been reviewed, and I'm going to close this out. And this is the really great part of Jira, is the traceability between different ideas, or between different Jira types. So this idea has been validated, and there's going to be some stories that come out of this process. So what I'm going to do is clone this idea and create stories out of it. The way to do that is selecting this ellipsis right here and clicking clone. So by cloning it, it just creates a duplicate, an exact duplicate of what I just had. And I'm going to go ahead and tweak this duplicate. So I'm going to change the title, and I'm going to change the type. This is a story. Sometimes what comes out of the discovery is an entire epic, and I could actually create an epic and stories underneath that. But for this example, I'm just creating a story. So our stories follow a different structure of how we write them. I'm going to go ahead and just copy one of the templates that we use and instruct our PMs to use. We call this our definition of ready. And throughout the Scrum process, the delivery team goes through a grooming process where the PM, designers, and the development team, as well as the testers, are involved in grooming the item, making sure it's ready for to be pulled into a sprint. So here's a template that we use to guide the people that we work with. So what do we see here? So we've created a new story. We've updated the description to be at the story level. We try to get to the invest level when we're getting closer to the sprint start. And you'll see this clones, this issue link of clones, and we can see the traceability that from a validated idea into a story, which is pretty neat. So so right now, this item should be displayed on our delivery board. Let's go ahead and see that. So there's no active sprints just yet, but we'll see that there was an idea. It went through the process, and now there's a sample story from it. Now let's go ahead and create a sprint, and we're going to go ahead and pull this story into the current sprint. Let's start the sprint. Sure, that duration makes sense. And here you'll see that's the story from the validated idea, and that can go through the workflow throughout the typical Scrum process. And so that's Dual-Track Scrum in a nutshell. I've only showed you one idea going into one story, and that's clearly, that's a really small sample size of the of what you'll experience. There'll be numerous ideas. There'll be numerous stories, especially when you're operating at scale. So there's this simple process extends to a very large team. I hope that by showing you how to do this at the most basic level, you can extend this to your team and follow the dual track process. So thanks for listening. Thanks for following through, and good luck on your projects. And if you have any questions, comments, feel free to post a question, and we're happy to answer them. All right, thanks. Bye.